This is Dr. David Schein, and welcome to Business Law 101. We started the class, if you were here with us for chapters 1 through 3, we used a case that was an eminent domain case, as you may remember from, I think it was Connecticut. And so most of you are familiar with the concept, and that's where the state takes private property for its assumed public purpose. We also mentioned zoning. Many of you are familiar with the fact that Houston, Texas is the only large city or the largest city that does not have formal zoning. So you can build anything you want anywhere you want in the city of Houston as long as you can get a permit to build it. And you say, well, how does that work? Well, one of the ways the city controls development is based on what are called water meters or water pulls. So for instance, I am familiar with a triangular piece of real estate not far from where I am here in the Houston Heights, and it sat vacant for many years because the city of Houston would only permit a couple water pulls for that property, meaning you could only build 2 houses on it. It was a fairly expensive piece of property, even though it stood vacant for many years. It was in a good location. So apparently the city changed its mind at some point because it now stands there with 6 zero-lot line or very close together houses. And so obviously the city approved 6 water meters or water pulls for that property, and that allowed it to be developed on a commercial level, and it was developed very quickly apparently after that. So again, that's the way a city can control things, by conditions on the property, even if they don't have zoning. Now, covenants, probably the best known covenants here in Texas are deed restrictions, and the public authorities will actually enforce private deed restrictions. Deed restrictions are contractual, put into effect by the developer, and then enforced by the homeowners once the developer is done building the subdivision of the development. And so it's a pretty interesting situation there that the city will cooperate with the homeowners to enforce deed restrictions. Here in the Houston Heights, the deed restrictions had expired many years ago. What was interesting is many homeowners were concerned that block after block would be converted into modern large townhouses or big apartment complexes might be built. And so some of the deed restrictions have actually been voted back into effect here in the greater Houston Heights. And so that's pretty interesting. So one of the things that happens is that if somebody's building properties or building houses or improving houses, and there are building codes, they have to follow the building codes. And if it's found that someone has deliberately avoided the building codes, then they can end up in significant legal trouble. And of course, that's the Bel Air Mansion case that is discussed at the early part of the chapter.